What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and today I'm bringing you guys one of the most requested things on my channel, which is my own tier list for Fire Emblem heroes. I've got so many requests to make my own tier list and finally last week I decided to start making it and it's finally done now. However, before I begin, I think I need to give a little disclaimer. This tier list is solely based on my opinion and my experience as a player. Do not take any tier list at face value. The job of a tier list is to give you an idea of the most influential units in the metagame and where a certain unit stands compared to other units. If you are a free-to-play player and say you've got extra orbs or extra feathers, then a tier list can help you decide in which unit you should invest and which units give you the most amount of advantage. Fire Emblem Heroes has over 150 units and many skills which can be inherited, so they are judged solely based on their stats and their legendary weapons. After skill engine's mechanic was released, I do not think we can call any unit bad because with enough investment, any unit in this game can become average or above average. Also, you do not technically face other human players in arena and you face AI, and manipulating AI is not very hard. So that's what I wanted to say. I hope that you guys do enjoy this video and this tier list. The link to my tier list is going to be in description down below, so let's begin. Alright, so this is my tier list and I'm going to be explaining their placement briefly. So let's begin with S plus tier. S plus tier contains units which are meta defining and these are the most influential units in the metagame, and some of these are very oppressive in nature like Reinhardt and Brave Lynn. So you have to pack checks and counters to these units so that they do not result in your defeat, and these units are just the best in their weapon types. So in S plus tier for sword units we have got Ryouma, Black Knight, Xander and Ike. Even though Black Knight has not been released, we still know how good he's going to be because his stats were data mined and he actually gives Ryouma a run for his money. Ryouma and Black Knight in my opinion are tied for the #1 spot for sword units. Xander and Ike are also in this tier. All four of these units share one common thing, which is that they have got distant counter built into their weapon, and that's why they're really good units who can be run on any kind of team. And they can also check green mages like Nino, Sonia and Julia and become a magic check. And if they run Triangle Adept for their slot A, then they can even more reliably check these green mages, and green mages are extremely common in the metagame. Ryouma overall is a really fast and strong unit. Black Knight has got more defense and HP than Ryouma, but he has got less resistance and he has got poor movement of 1 because he's an armored unit unless you run him with Amelia. And Xander is pretty slow, but he has got enormous defense and really good mobility because he's a horse unit and he can be run on a horse emblem team. And Ike has got high attack and high defense but average speed. So those are the S plus tier sword units. In S tier we have got units who provide great utility and support to their teammates like Olivia, Ephraim, Erica, Delphia, and because of that they are top tier units. And we've also got units like Tharja, Nino, Katarina, Ines, who with little support from their teammates can perform really well. So in S tier for sword units we have got Olivia because she has got unparalleled utility with dance, and Erica who has got Sieglinde which has got Hone Attack 2 built into it and she can be a great buffer. And we also have Elincia who is just an insane unit because of her legendary sword Amity, and she can be a really deadly unit to face. And we have got Roy who's the best offensive cavalier in the game because of his blazing Durandal. He's a very strong offensive unit, and those are the S tier units for swords. In A plus tier we have got high tier units who are above average, and here we have got Eldigan who's pretty much like Xander, but he does not have distant counter built into his weapon. So Xander does outclass Eldigan, but still Eldigan is good because of his legendary sword which functions as a slaying or killer weapon. And then we have got Zephiel who has got amazing bulk and power, but he gets outclassed by Black Knight because Black Knight has got much better weapon than Zephiel. If only intelligent systems gave distant counter effect to Zephiel's X-Axe. And then we have got Lucina and Mass Lucina. Lucina has got amazing base attack of 34 and base speed of 36. These offenses are really good, and she also has Falchion, which is her legendary sword. And then we have got Hannah. Hannah is actually really good because she has got base 35 attack and base 36 speed. That's actually perfect to run Brave Sword, and she is pretty much the best Brave Sword unit after Elincia. And if Fire Sweep Sword gets released, then Hannah is gonna be an amazing unit. And then we have got Athena, who's a really good Wood Owl user because of her high base speed of 38, and she's fairly bulky on the defensive side. Ozma is also really good Brave Sword and Void Out Plus user, and he has got a massive HP stat and pretty good physical bulk, and he can also run the newly released skill Wrath with Void Out Plus or Brave Sword, and he can quad attack many units because he has got good base speed of 34 and really good base attack of 35. And then we have got Kromm, who has got the highest base attack for a sword unit, and he can be a really good Brave Sword user with Death Blow. Marth is a nice and balanced unit with good bulk, speed and attack, and Gray is a super good Brave Sword user and he's got respectable bulk as well. Lonku has got the highest base speed in the entire game, so because of that he is a monstrous Void Out Plus user, and Navarre is also a really good Void Out Plus user, but he gets outclassed by Athena and Lonku as Void Out users because Athena has got one higher base speed than Navarre, and Athena also has better bulk, and Lonku has got amazing speed compared to Navarre, so that's why Navarre is below Lonku and Athena. Then we have got Lin. Lin has got Soul Catty, which has got Desperation 2 built into it, so she can run Brash Assault or Wrath and be a pretty good unit. And at last we have got Lloyd, who is a pretty good unit because of his high base speed and respectable attack along with good resistance, so he can actually be a pretty good green magic check if he decides to run distant counter. So those were the high tier sword units. Now let's move on to A tier. A tier is the mid tier where we have got average units. So A tier begins with Karel, who gets outclassed by Lonku, Athena, Navarre as a Void Out user because they all have got higher base speed than Karel. Alma is also there because of his average speed, and Marth and Lucina are just much better Falchion users compared to so that's why is an average unit. Then we have got Pala. Pala can be a pretty good unit on a Fire Emblem team with Void Out Plus, and overall she's a pretty good balanced unit. Eliwood gets heavily outclassed by his own son Roy as an offensive cavalier, but Eliwood can also function as a magic check because of his high resistance. Male Corrin is pretty much like Pala because he's a balanced unit and he has got a legendary weapon unlike Pala, and that legendary weapon has got Darting Blow 2 built into it, but still it does not help him from getting outclassed by the A+ tier units. Saber is also a pretty balanced unit, can work really well with Fury, and Shield Pulse builds are also possible, but he specifically does not excel at anything. Drog is a good Brave Sword users, but Hannah and Ozma are just much better fast Brave Sword users than him, and he can also run Void Out Plus, but once again we have got extremely fast units like Lonku, Athena, and Navarre who can be a much better Void Out user. Kane and Luke also lie in A tier. They have got Brave Sword and they're pretty decent Cavalier units for your Horse Emblem team's red spot. And Serena is at last for the mid tier, and Serena has got really low attack, but she can function with Void Out Plus, and Serena has got good bulk on both spectrums, and she's also pretty fast. In B tier we have got below average units who get outclassed by units who are higher than them, and they take a lot of investment to function. So here we have got Vanilla Roy. Vanilla Roy has got average speed, attack and defense, but slightly above average resistance. However, he gets outclassed really hard by Lloyd when it comes to being a magic tank. And then we have got Seth, the Sacred Stones god, but unfortunately in this game he's not a god. The only thing he has got is a horse and a high defense stat, and that's pretty much it. We have got Cheetah because she hits like a wet noodle. She's got extremely low base attack. The only thing she has got is high speed and high resistance, and she can function only with Void Out Plus and Zanbado's sword. Then we have got Fear. Fear has got high speed but really low attack, and she gets outclassed really hard by other fast Void Out Plus users, and she can only really function with Void Out Plus because of her high speed. Both Alphonse and Laszlo have got base attack of 35, and they've got a pretty good defense stat, and both can run Brave Sword sets, but they are just simply outclassed by other Brave Sword users like Kromm, Ozma, and Gray, and that's why they are in the B tier. Salif is pretty much like Alphonse and Laszlo, and he can also run Brave Sword, but his legendary weapon is quite underwhelming. And at last we have got Stall, whose existence pretty much gets invalidated by Xander. In C tier we have got units who have got major flaws, and they get outclassed really hard by other units who are above them. And here we have got Tobin and Hinata. Both of them are pretty slow, even though they've got good defense and decent base attack. They just get outclassed by other units such as Gray, Saber, and Ozma. So those were the sword units, and now let's move on to the red mages. In S tier we have got Tharja, Celica, and Katarina. Their offensive spread is extremely similar, so that's why all three of them are in the S tier. And these three units run the metagame for red mages. And in A+ tier we have got Sanaki and Lina. They have got the highest base attack for red mages, and they have got a pretty good resistance stat as well. However, they are pretty slow, so that's why they find themselves in the A+ tier instead of the S tier. In A tier, we have got Sophia, and Sophia works best with a Raven Tome, and with Triangle Adept, she can easily check a lot of archers like Brave Lynn and green mages like Nino, Julia, and Sonia, because Sophia has got good bulk on both spectrums, and Sophia is actually pretty bulky, and her only flaw is that she is extremely slow and will get doubled by pretty much everyone, but still she is pretty good, and out of the Raven Tome users, she can hit the hardest with her base attack of 33. I think we need to respect Raven Tomes a bit more in this metagame because Brave Lynn is a complete nuisance. Now you can always argue that archers can run Cancel Affinity and completely invalidate Raven Tome users with Triangle Adept, but the thing is that I've not really seen too many Brave Lens with Cancel Affinity. I've played hundreds of matches after Choose Your Legends event, and I only really faced one Brave Lyn with Cancel Affinity, and that Lyn was like plus 10 merge, so it was obviously a whale, and Cancel Affinity is not really that easily available. It's locked to 5-star units, and usually people run Sakei's Blessing on Brave Lyn because it does make sense to run Sakei's Blessing over Cancel Affinity because Distant Counter is much more common in this metagame compared to Raven Tome users. So that's why still Raven Tomes are pretty good, and that's why I have put Sophia in the same tier as other Raven Tome users like Male Robin, Female Robin, and Bowie. So Sophia is pretty good in that regard. Then we've got Leo. Leo can be a pretty good magic check with his high resistance, and he of course works really well on a Hearts Emblem team with Blade Tome. Summer Leo does get outclassed by Lilina and Sanaki and even Katarina when it comes to being a magic check, but Summer Leo has got monstrous resistance, so he can definitely be a good magic check if he runs Green Tome Breaker or Red Tome Breaker. And in B tier we have got Ray. Ray is in a weird sort of limbo because he gets outclassed by Summer Leo when it comes to being a magic check, and when it comes to being offensive, Celica, Katarina, and Tharja can of course just outclass him. And in the C tier we have got the bloodthirsty Henry. Henry is really underwhelming mage because of his extremely low attack and extremely low speed. The only thing he has got going for him is his massive HP stat and massive defense stat, but Sophia is just a much better Raven Tome user than Henry because Sophia can actually hit hard and kill her targets. Henry cannot do that. Henry can sure just tank hits from archers, but that's about it. He does not have power to just kill them unless he procs Ignis. So that's why Henry is in the C tier. Unfortunately, Sophia does outclass him. So those were the red mages. Now let's move on to like two red dragons. In A+ tier we have got Young Tiki. Young Tiki with Lightning Breath and Triangle Adept is a pretty good green unit check and can easily check stuff like Nino, and Nino is extremely common in Arena, so that's good. And Young Tiki can easily take on units like Hector as well. And she's got high defense but average speed, but she's definitely better than Adult Tiki, who's an A tier. Adult Tiki has more defense and more attack than Young Tiki, but she is extremely slow and has got much less resistance, so she cannot really be as versatile as Young Tiki. So that's why Adult Tiki is one tier below Young Tiki. So those were the red units. Now let's move on to the Lance units. In S+ tier for Lance units we have got Camus. Camus is just a very solid unit because he has got Distant Counter built into his weapon, Gradivis, and he's a solid frontline unit with his high defense, and he's got pretty decent speed as well with good attack, and he's a staple on Hearts Emblem team, so Camus is a solid unit. And Tana and Cordelia are the Brave Lance and Fire Sweep Lance users, and their high offensive spread of 35, and in case of Tana, 34 and 36 is really good and definitely sets them apart from all of the Lance units in terms of pure offensive power. Effie has got the highest base attack in the game, and with Armor March her viability has become much better because previously Effie was definitely strong. She could run Brave Lance, but she had poor one movement, but because of Amelia's Armor March, Effie is just very powerful. And she can even run a Distant Counter set, and it's extremely hard to one-round KO her because of Very Fighter, even stuff like buffed Nino, so she can even survive hits from green mages and just kill them with her sheer power even though she's at the weapons triangle disadvantage. So Effie is definitely a powerhouse. In S tier we have got Asura, who provides unmatched utility with her Sing and provides a lot of support to teammates, and Brave Lucina is just the best infantry lance unit in the game with amazing offensive spread and and really great legendary weapon which can support allies. And then we have got Ephraim. Brave Lucina is a much better support unit than Ephraim, but Ephraim of course is the best when it comes to supporting mages because the buffs Brave Lucina provides are spur bonuses and Blade Tome users cannot use that, but Ephraim Siegmund provides Hone Attack 2 support and he can run Hone Speed, Fortify Resistance, Sacred Seal, and Rally Defense, and basically buff all of the stats of Blade Tome units, and he's pretty much the best friend of Blade Tome units. And then we have got Anoka. Anoka has got the same base attack as Cordelia, but she has got lower base speed, but still she is very good Brave Lance unit, and she can even use a Fire Sweep Lance if you want to. And in A+ tier we have got Bright Charlotte. Bright Charlotte has got a massive attack stat of 36, so she can be an insane Brave Lance unit. And then we have got Walter, and he's a very solid unit because of his legendary weapon Cursed Lance, which has got Fury 2 pretty much built into it and also provides the effect of a killer weapon. He has got solid defense, good attack, and decent speed with Cursed Lance, so he's a pretty good unit. Nefni is a newly released unit and she comes with Wrath and Slaying Lance and a very good attack, defense, and speed stat, so she's definitely a very reliable Lance infantry unit. Summer Robin is a good infantry Lance unit, but she gets outclassed by Nefni now, who has got better speed and better defense. Est can run a Brave Lance set because her attack is base 35, which is same as Cordelia and Anoka, but her speed is very low, so that's why she's only in the high tier. Est can also function as a magic check with Distant Counter and Barracuda's Lance Plus, so that's another thing Est can do. Serena always has been a balanced unit, so she's a high tier unit. Oscar is a newly released unit and he's the best offensive Lance Cavalier in the game with his good offensive stats of 33 and 34. And that's why he's in the high tier. Katria is a balanced flyer with good speed, decent defense, resistance, and HP and attack, and she can function both in the player phase and in the enemy phase, so she's great. And then we have got Perry, who's the second best offensive Lance Cavalier after Oscar. She used to be the first one before Oscar, but now she's at the second position, and that's why she is a bit behind Oscar. And she can also perform as a magical tank because of her high resistance, and if she equips something like Barracuda's Lance and Distant Counter, so that's another niche which Perry can take. And then we have got Lucas and Donald, two Brave Lance infantry units who perform really well with their high defense and high attack stat of 35. Lucas is slightly better than Donald because of his extremely high defense stats, so Lucas can also run a quick repose set with Killer Lance and perform really well. And it's actually insane how bulky Lucas can be with Fortress Defense. He can actually survive some of the axe units, like deadliest axe units in the game will not be able to kill him, so Lucas is definitely a very good unit. Donald is pretty much same but with less defense. Then we move on to A tier, and here we have got Roderick and Abel, two Cavaliers who get completely outclassed by Oscar, so that's why they find themselves in the A tier. And Shanna and Tsubaki are two units who have got their own niche. Shanna is a magic tank and Tsubaki is a physical flying tank, and both can perform really well with their niches, but Tsubaki has got a lot lower attack than Shanna, so that's why Shanna is a bit better than him. At last we have got Berkut and Clive, and they perform best with Brave Lance, but they get outclassed as a Lance Cavalier by a lot of units like Roderick, Abel, Oscar, Perry, even Camus, of course Camus, so that's why they are at the bottom of A tier. And then we begin with B tier. Here we have got the goddess of echoes and Gaiden, Matilda, but unfortunately she's not a goddess in this game because of her low attack and average speed, and the only thing she has got going for her is a resistance stat, and that's pretty much it. Oboro is pretty much like Lucas, but Lucas has got more defense stat and more attack, so that's why because Oboro gets outclassed, she is in the B tier. Claire has got a very high speed stat, and that's pretty much it. She can run a Fire Sweep Lance set, and that's her best set, but a lot of flyers can do it better. Gwendolyn can perform the task of being a magic check on an Armor Emblem team, but honestly Effie with Distant Counter is just much better because of her monstrous attack stat. Compared to Effie, Gwendolyn does lack a lot of attack, but she has got more resistance, so she has got a niche right there. Sully lacks attack stat to perform well, so that's why she is in the B tier. Springxander has got a massive defense stat and pretty good bulk, but he's got very low attack. and that's why Clive and Camus are just much better defensive cavaliers. In C tier we have got Florina and Jagan, and the only thing they have got is resistance, and that's pretty much it. They do not have attack stat, they do not have speed stat. Florina has got a very underwhelming base attack of 29 and base speed of 27, and Jagan's attack and speed are even lower than Florina at 27 and 24 respectively. So that's why they're in the C tier. Matilda and Perry outclass Jagan when it comes to being a magic chick, and Shauna and S outclass Florina when it comes to being a magic chick as a flyer, so that's why they are in the C tier. Now let's move on to the blue mages. In S plus tier we have got the monster known as Reinhardt. Reinhardt is extremely oppressive in this metagame, and you're forced to run some kind of magic check to reliably deal with him. He's just a monster, and I'm sure you guys know about his power. In S tier for blue mages we have got Delphia and Lind. Delphia herself is a nuke, and she can also make her melee ranged allies into nukes as well because of Dark Aura. It provides +6 attack bonus to melee range units, which is absolutely insane, and she is just a very strong unit in this metagame. And Lind is also a really good offensive unit with Bladder Blade Plus, and she can also perform really well with Aura as well if you combine that with Breath of Life, and she can be a pretty good passive healer with that. And then in the A plus tier, we have got a bunch of mages who can run Blade Tome like May, Bunny, Lucina, Cheetah, and Karen. All of these units are pretty good if they equip Blade Tomes. And then in the A tier, we have got Male Robin. Male Robin has always been that one unit ever since launch of the game who has always had your back, and still in this metagame he has got your back because, like I said, you need to respect Raven Tombs because Bravelyn is just so oppressive in this metagame. So Male Robin is a very good Raven Tome user. And then we have got Olwen and Ursula. Both of them can run Blade Tomes and be a pretty good unit on a Horse Emblem team. And in the B tier we have got Odin Dark, and Odin has got really low base attack, and compared to all of the Blade Tome mages, he's just very underwhelming. So that's why he's in the B tier. The reason why I've not put him in the C tier is because he has got speed, at least that's something, and Blade Tomes are pretty busted, so Odin can perform decently well with Blade Tomes and buffs, but of course other high tier Blade Tome units will completely just outclass Odin. So those were the blue mages. Now let's move on to blue dragons. In the S tier we have got Ninian, who's S tier only because of dance, and she is the weakest dancer if you compare her to Olivia and Asura. She's got a really low base attack, but the utility she can provide is just too good. In A plus tier we have got Noe. Noe has got good base attack of 34 and a pretty good defense stat and good resistance, and she can just shut down red units with Triangle Adept and Quick Repose, so that's why she's A plus tier unit. In A tier we have got female Karen. Even though she's really fast and is really bulky, actually much bulky than Noe, but she's one tier below Noe because of the fact that she cannot really do any kind of significant damage because of her low base attack of 27, so that really holds back Karen. If she had higher base attack, then of course she would be chilling with Noe in the A plus tier, but she does not, so that's why she's A tier. Female Karen can easily run Steady Breath as well and improve her damage output by combining it with a special like Igneous, but that's about it she can do to improve her attack. So those were the blue units. Now let's move on to the green units, and in S plus tier for green units we have got Hector and Brave Ike. Hector always has been really good because of his armads. He has got Quick Repose 2 built into his weapon, so that allows him to run another slot B skill like Vantage or Wings of Mercy, and Hector has just become much better now because of Armor March ever since Amelia has been released. And Brave Ike is also a very good anti-meta unit, and he's actually insane with Irvan and Bjork's Blessing. Brave Ike can check Reinhardt, Horse Emblem, Brave Weapon users, archers, and the amount of things Brave Ike can do for your team defensively is just incredible. And in the S tier we have got Shershi. Shershi is a monstrous unit with Brave Axe and Death Blow, and she is a very scary unit to face actually. Her damage output is insane, and usually she can just kill units in just 2 hits because of her insane base attack of 38. And then we have got Amelia, the fastest armored unit in the game, along with Black Knight, and Amelia brings Armor March to the table, and Amelia herself is such a great unit as well. Good defense, good HP, good attack, good speed, everything is just very good, and she has got the highest base stat total in the whole game, so she definitely is a top tier unit. And then we have got Minerva. Minerva is really good with Auto Clear and something like Draconic Aura, or a defensive special like Bonfire or Igneous if you're not running Life and Death. And Minerva is the second best green flyer after Shershi. And then we have got Legion and Raven. Both of them are excellent axe users with Brave Axe. Legion is slightly better because of higher base attack And then in the A+ tier we have got Spring Kromm. Spring Kromm has got good base attack of 35 and speed of 32, so he can be a solid axe unit. Summer Tiki is also very powerful with her base attack of 36, and she can run Brave Axe and do a lots of damage. And Frederick is basically Horse Shershi because he can be run on a Horse Emblem team and utilize Brave Axe, so that makes him a really strong unit to face. Anna has got the second highest base speed in the game after Lonku, and she can be a budget Reinhardt check as well if you decide to run Fury, because she's got good HP and decent resistance, so that's another role which Anna can do. And then we have got Bars with good base attack of 33 and base speed of 32 with decent defense at 30, so he's a pretty good axe unit. And then we have got Batra at the end of high tier for axe units. Now there are a lot of memes about Batra and how people hate him when he gets summoned, but honestly Batra is extremely strong because of his base attack of 36, and he can also run something like Panic Ploy because of his massive HP stat of 49, and also provide that utility to your team along with destroying a lot of units with his high base attack and Brave Axe. In the A tier we have got Titania, Sheena and Camilla. All three units can function as a magic check with distant counter because of their high resistance, but they all lack attack. Titania has got a low base attack, but she has got the highest speed out of these three units, and she has got the mobility because of a horse. Sheena is just a very solid frontline unit because of her good bulk. She's got amazing bulk on the both spectrums, but she lacks attack. Camilla works best as a magic check, and when it comes to being a Brave Axe user, Shershi completely just outclasses her. And then we have got Michaelis and Summer Xander. Michaelis has got really poor speed and poor resistance, and he gets outclassed by units who are above him. Summer Xander has got defense stat of an armored unit, but he gets completely outclassed by Summer Tiki because Summer Tiki actually has better attack than Summer Xander and also has better speed. So that's something, and that's the mid tier for axe units. In B tier we have got Arthur with poor speed, decent attack and good defense. He's just stuck in a weird limbo where he's not best at anything, and Narcian has got really low base attack. Camilla does outclass him as a defensive flyer with Emerald Axe because Camilla has got better resistance and slightly lower defense, but she can perform just much better as a defensive flyer than him. In the last row we have got Hawkeye and Gunter. Both of these units have got really poor speed, but Hawkeye is slightly better than Gunter because she's got better bulk on the both spectrums. Beruka has got no attack, no speed, and the only thing she has got going for her is her defense stat and her massive HP stat. I wish she could inherit Steady Breath, but unfortunately flyers cannot inherit that, so that's why there's no way of improving her lackluster attack. She can definitely be a flying tank, no doubt about that, but she has got lackluster attack and lackluster speed. So those were the axe units. Now let's move on to the tome units. I'm moving a bit fast because I do not want to take too much time, but still I want to get my point across. So in the S tier for green mages we have got Nino, Summer Elise, Sonia, Julia and Soren. I do think that all 5 of these mages are top tier green mages. Nino and Summer Elise are really great offensive green mages with Ground Blade Plus, and Sonia and Julia are amazing magic checks and can easily check stuff like Reinhardt. And Soren is kind of in the middle where he can be a magic check and he can also do the job of being an offensive unit, but he does not excel at both of the things. He's just in the middle, and that's not really too bad. He is a good mid ground. So honestly I think that all 5 of these units are in the top tier in my opinion. In A+ tier I do not think there's any green mage, and in the A tier, which is the mid tier, we have got Summer, Camilla and Cecilia. Both of these units can be run on their emblem teams and they perform really well. And then we have got Bowie and female Robin. Both of these units are really good archer checks. Bowie is actually pretty underrated. He does not even need a Raven Tome or Triangle Adept to check archers. He can do that with his Owl Tome and some adjacent allies with Fury and Quick Riposte, and he can easily tank hits from Brave Lynn and then just kill her with Bonfire Quick Riposte. I would honestly put Bowie higher if he had got a higher attack, but unfortunately he does not have a higher attack, so that's why he's in the A tier, but still he's very good actually, and he can check Brave Lynn pretty well. And then we have got female Robin. She's basically just like male Robin but a female version, and she also can run Ground Raven and Triangle Adept and pretty much function as male Robin. In the B tier we have got Merrick, and his base attack is really low. Like, you have to run Excalibur because that gives him the highest might because it's a legendary weapon. If you run Ground Raven Plus, then like he's gonna be having pitifully low attack, and that's not enough to kill the archers. He does have speed, he does have defense, but if only he had the attack to get the job done. Bravelyn can actually survive hits from him because of his low attack stat, and he can be a pretty decent archer check with Fury and Bow Breaker. Like I said, he does not really need to run Grand Raven or Triangle Adept because Excalibur does do the job and does give him the attack boost needed from the weapon, and Fury gives him the bulk. So those were the green mages. Now let's move on to green dragons. I think we all can agree that Faye is the best green dragon, of course, because there is only one green dragon. So Faye can perform really well as a blue magic check. She can run Lightning Breath and Triangle Adept, and she's one of the best counters for Reinhardt, but unfortunately Faye is a bit slow. If she was faster, then she would be much better, but still Faye is a very good unit and a great magic check with Lightning Breath and Triangle Adept. And now let's move on to the colorless units. So in the S+ tier for archers, we have got Bravelyn and Bright Cordelia, the two most oppressive archers in the whole game, and Bravelyn is just much more oppressive than Bright Cordelia because Bright Cordelia already is so good, but Bravelyn is basically on a horse, so you cannot run, and Sakei's Blessing is super annoying, and she has got decent resistance. Bravelyn has got the same base speed as Bright Cordelia but lower base attack. But honestly, lower base attack does not matter because she has got insane mobility because she's a horse unit and she can be run on a horse emblem team, which Bright Cordelia cannot be. So Bright Cordelia is oppressive as it is, but Bravelyn is just another level of oppression, and I feel like Bravelyn is the single unit who has made Arena Assault not fun for a lot of players because who has got like 7 Bravelyn counters, they just do not exist. You have to invest in stuff like Sophia, male Robin, Bowie, female Robin, stuff like that, and that's just so much work actually. The combo of Reinhardt and Bravelyn is just so devastating actually. In the S tier, we have got Ines, who has got good base attack of 33 and base speed of 34, and he can also function as a magic check because of his high resistance, and he can easily check Reinhardt with the help of Nidhogg and his high resistance if he runs guard skill. Guard skill is there to prevent Quicken Pulse Moonbow Reinhardt from killing Ines, so he can function as a magic check as well. In the A+ tier, we have got bunch of high tier archers like Takumi, Summer, Gaius, Klein, Clarice, Leon, and George, and all of these archers work best with Brave Bow Plus, and Summer, Gaius, and Clarice and Takumi can also run Fire Speed Bow Plus. All of these are just very solid archers, and a lot of people do not think Clarice as a high tier archer, but honestly, she's got the same stat spread as Klein. Actually, Clarice has got one higher base speed than Klein, so she is definitely a high tier archer in my opinion. Leon does not need to run Life and Death if he's not plus speed, and he can just function with Death Blow and Sword Breaker. So all of these archers are pretty good. And then in the A tier, we have got Setsuna, Faye, Rebecca, Virian, and Garden. All of these units can also run Brave Bow, but Setsuna can also run Fire Speed Bow, and Faye can of course run a Brave Bow, and Faye is also a pretty decent magic check because of her high resistance, but Ines does outclass her because Faye has got really low base speed. Rebecca also works really well with Brave Bow, but she's got low base attack compared to the high tier archers, so that's why she's in the mid tier. Virian obviously can run Brave Bow, but he's got a niche which no other archer has, and that is he can run Panic Ploy because of his massive HP stat. He's got the highest HP out of any other archer, so he can definitely do that. And to sum up all of the archers, you can just say Brave Bow honestly. So we have got Garden, who gets outclassed by Leon as a defensive archer, but still Garden is pretty decent because he's got base attack of 31 but a very low base speed. And in the B tier, we have got Niles. Poor Niles has got really low base attack and he gets completely outclassed by Ines. So those were the archers. Now let's move on to the dagger units. In S tier, we have got Kagero. Now a lot of people might say that Kagero has fallen off because horse units are so common, this and that, but Kagero is still a fantastic magic check and a fantastic infantry check because of Poison Dagger and her high base attack of 35. So that's why I think she's a top tier unit, because of her base attack and Poison Dagger and the fact that she can be a magic check, so that is very good. And then in the A+ tier, we have got Summer Frederick, Gaius, and Saiso. All three of these units can also run Poison Dagger and function really well. Saizo and Frederick are extremely defensive and they can easily run close counter and be great dagger users, and Gaius can of course run Life and Death, and he's got more speed than Kagero, so he can run Desperation Set. And then in the A tier, we have got Jafar and Kaliesha. Both of these units have got really low base attack, but they have got their own niche. Niche of Jafar is that he can do massive amounts of passive damage to your opponent's team with his Deathly Dagger, Poison Strike, and Savage Blow. And Kaliesha's niche is that she can be a really good magic check with her high resistance stat, and that's pretty much it. Those are the saving grace for these two units. And in the B tier, we have got Jacob and Matthew. The only thing Jacob has is 29 base attack, which is same as Saizo and Gaius, but his base speed is lower than those two, and he does not really have high defense or high resistance, so that's why he is a B tier unit. And Matthew has got really low base attack. He does have speed and he does have defense, but that's about it. Now you might ask why Felicia is in the A tier but Matthew is in the B tier. Now Felicia's targets are mages, and mages usually have lower defense stat. Matthew has got a high defense stat and he can definitely initiate attack on units who have got distant counter, but honestly his base attack is so low that he will not be able to do any kind of damage to units like Black Knight, Xander or Ike. And he can sure do passive damage with Poison Strike and Savage Blow, but Jafar's passive damage output is just much better, so that's why Matthew is severely outclassed in that regard. And now let's move on to the final weapon class, which is staff users, healers. So in the A+ tier we have got Elise, Priscilla, Jenny and Lynn. Elise and Priscilla can be run on a Horse Emblem team with Wrathful Staff, and they can perform pretty good, especially when in Horse Emblem teams you run stuff like Xander and Camus, and you have to heal them so that they can be in the quick riposte range. So that's why Elise and Priscilla are pretty good. Jenny has got the highest base attack for any kind of healer, so that's why she is a very strong healer. And Bradlyn is the fastest healer along with Maria, but compared to Maria she does have less resistance but higher HP and slightly higher attack. And in the A tier we have got Lucius, Maria, Florina and Lachesis and Sarah. The damage output of Lucius with Wrathful Staff is pretty good because he's got base attack of 32 and base speed of 30, which is much better compared to other healers. Maria is really fast and has got good resistance, and Florina has got really low base attack, so with Wrathful Staff she cannot perform as well as Elise and Priscilla on a Horse Emblem team, but still she's decent because of her high speed. And then we have got Lachesis, who also has good base attack, and Sarah also has good base attack combined with base speed of 31, which is pretty decent. And in the B tier we have got Sakura, Mist, Lissa, Riz and Ozma. Sakura is a pretty balanced healer, but she cannot succeed at anything because she does not have enough attack to do a lot of damage with Wrathful Staff. She does not have speed to outspeed a lot of units, and she cannot take too many hits with her 24 and 30 defenses. So that's why Sakura is in the B tier. Mist is pretty much a worse Sakura, but she's got insane amounts of resistance. And Lissa is also a pretty balanced healer, similar to Sakura, but Lissa's speed stat is much lower than Sakura's and much lower base attack as well. And then we have got our god almighty Riz. He has got really low base attack, really low base speed, really bad defense, and the only thing he has got is resistance. He of course has the highest resistance in the whole game. And then we have got Ozma. Ozma has got no speed, no attack, no resistance. The only thing he has got is defense, and that's pretty much it. So unfortunately he cannot really do any kind of passive damage unless he has got his pain staff. So that is my tier list. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This was really tedious to make and even commentate, so I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and do not forget to subscribe so that you do not miss out on the Fire Emblem Heroes videos. This week we have got a Bound Hero battle coming up, along with a Tempest Trial and Sacred Seals quest. And definitely let me know your opinion on my tier list in the comment section down below with some feedback if you have any. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.
Fight for my friends, fight for my friends, fight for my friends, fight for my friends. I fight for my friends.